Hey, welcome back to another League of Legends video tutorial with me, Cwtch. This is sort of a special tutorial. I wanted to throw this up because warding is a very underrated aspect of the game for new players. I can't emphasize how important it is. This video is aiming to show you good ward placements. Every member of the team should be contributing to buying at least one ward whenever they back. Inevitably, whilst in the laning phase, everyone should be buying wards to protect themselves from ganks. Other reasons you need to ward is to keep track of enemy movements and to keep an eye on key objectives such as Baron and Dragon. Most of the time, when you solo queue for normals, people won't bother warding. That is not to say that you shouldn't, it will be one thing that helps you become a better player.
Okay, so first off I'm going to show you some nice river wards to place down, and these are always the best, mostly at the start of the game. Because you can see any incoming ganks on your lane, but also you can keep track of people that are crossing the river, and also because the river has Baron and Dragon on it, it's always good to keep wards because they are main objectives. So I'm going to start off in the top lane first, and generally a good safe ward to have is on the edge of this brush by here. If you place it down by there, I think I just failed it. I did just fail it. But yeah, if you just place it down inside, you can see it inside the bush, and you can also see the surrounding area by here. And that means, for instance, if you're on blue team and you're at a safe distance by here, then you can see if anyone is actually coming in to gank you from river and from tri-bush, and vice versa. If you're purple team, you can see any of the blue team jungler or even mid lane coming up into your sort of area, your lane, and you can see the bush area as well if they're waiting around and stuff like that. Another good ward is to have it in tri-bush, which is up by here. The only thing that's an issue with this one, if you're blue team, is that it's really high up, so if the jungler comes up the river you can't actually see it. It's more of a sort of a defensive ward if you're playing as the purple team. If you're sat back at your tower, then you can see if anyone's actually coming around, maybe look at the tower dive view, and that's what it's mainly used for. Another good ward, which is only really usable by the purple team, is to have a ward right by here. The main reason is, as purple team, there's no other way for them to actually come up from their jungle to gank you unless they come through your own, which is quite risky, and I'll go on to why that's risky as well a bit later on, on my next ward, but for now this ward by here can give you coverage of all up here. So if they run down and into your lane, then you can spot it. It also gives you a nice vision of Baron, and it also gives you vision of around this area as well, so it gives you plenty of warning for them coming up to your lane, and you can have a lot of time to respond to them actually coming up to your lane. For instance, if there's a jungler and a mid, then you can back to your tower or completely back off. So the next ward then, which is really useful to have with this ward for mid lane or the jungler, is to have in this corner by here, because it gives you vision around this bush by here. It gives you vision of all around here, and also all around this bush by here, so you can see anyone going in and coming out. A lot of people tend to put their wards in this bush, but that just gives you vision of this, the lane, which is what you can already see, and only a bit of vision up here. It's better to put your ward in this corner by here, because you can see anyone actually coming into this bush, and then if they come out of it you'll be able to see because they'll be into your lane, but also then you can spot them going up to top, for instance if that ward's just dropped, and stuff like that. It's just generally a better ward to put down, gives you a lot more vision for just one ward. And then the wards for bottom river are pretty much exactly the same. It'll be on the corner by here, which I'll put down now. So as you can see, it gives you a lot of vision, and you can see anyone coming from down this ramp and into the bush, middle bush. You can see them coming into your jungle, and you can see them coming down river. And the same again, but generally when I'm bottom lane perhaps supporting, if we're playing as blue team, then it's the same as purple team on the top lane, because there isn't really many avenues to gank, put a ward on dragon, because you're keeping an eye on dragon, but you're also keeping an eye on anyone coming down from blue or coming down the river. And as you can see now, I've only got 2 wards down, and I've pretty much got complete coverage of bottom river with just 2 wards, because I can see them coming around to mid, I can see them coming down to dragon, I can see them coming from blue, I can see them coming into my jungle from this area. So if they're coming into my jungle looking to gank me bottom, because they know I've got wards here and they don't know what I've got here, then I can see them actually come into my jungle. So as a bottom lane we can play a lot more defensively, because we know there's someone that we can't keep an eye on in our jungle, and then the jungler can respond accordingly, etc, etc. The same wards as top lane in the corner by here and in the corner by here as well. Okay, so defensive wards now. They also develop as offensive wards because the jungle is symmetrical, so it just depends which team you're on and where you place them. For instance, if I'm blue team, then defensive wards would be in my jungle and offensive wards would be in their jungle, but the wards, defensive and offensive, are the same place. It's just getting the best coverage out of them. So generally, let's cover the whole jungle. Generally, you do not want to put one here, because if you've got the tower, then the best ward is to put down in the bottom of the river by there. And if you haven't got the tower, then generally a better place to put a ward is around this area by here, or in the bush by here. If you do have one by here and nowhere else, and say you are pushed up to here with your creep wave, well, by the time they're there, it's a bit too late, because you're going to be dead and you're not going to be able to get away. So the better wards to put down are, again, still down the bottom by here, because you get in Baron as well as coverage to see who's coming into your jungle. So you can put one down by there. The same as the laning phase, or my favourite one is to put it down on the corner by here. And the reason being is that you can see all around the blue area, so your jungle can smite over if you're playing offensively into the other jungle, or defensively you can see if anyone is actually contesting your blue before you even get there, and you get some nice vision of around here as well. It's one of my favourite wards to put down because it covers a lot of the intersection around by here. Some other defensive wards to put down is to put one in this bush by here. Make sure it's sort of on this corner by here, because if I run away now, oh shit. As you can see, it's got, you can't see into this bush by here, but you can see around it, so you can see them coming out. And if it was a bit further down, then you wouldn't get as much coverage down here as well. And also you get some coverage up by here. And for the top jungle, they're generally the best ones to have. I'd say mainly this one and this one by here, because you can see them hovering around. So if you have lost towers, then you can sort of run down and run away. And again, that ward by there is it's just a really good ward to have, just because you can cover Baron with it and you can cover the river. So defensive wards then for the bottom of the jungle if you're blue team, or the top of the jungle if you're purple team. Are really good defensive wards just to have one in here, because if you're sort of hanging around by here, then you can see them coming down, maybe looking to come behind you, but also you can see them coming down here as well, and it just keeps an eye on your wraiths as well for your jungler. Another good defensive wards is you could have one around by here, just because you can see them coming up the ramp, and then either sort of hanging around by here, or coming down to your jungle, or coming up to your race. I mean, generally you don't really want to have one in this bush and by there, but if it's sort of a really pivotal moment in the game, then it's always worth putting wards down. Some more defensive wards is, oh shit, this corner by here, mainly because you can keep it on your red with it. You can see the little dude by there, so you know that red's up, but also you get some nice coverage around this area, and also you can see the bush around by here as well. The same can be said with having a ward right by there as well. You get some nice coverage of up there, down there, and more coverage around here. So generally these two wards, put them together, or these two wards, put them together, it doesn't really matter. Another good defensive ward is just having it in Tribush by here, because you can see anyone coming into your jungle from bottom river. So from here, from Dragon area, or up from here, because you can see them running up. So if you have lost this tower by here, which I have, then you're pretty safe. If you've got the ward by there and in the Tribush, you can sort of happily free farm in this area of the map without having to worry about dying to ganks, or them just coming from Dragon. I mean, they're generally the wards that you want to have down. There are not really that many of us. I mean, you can have one in this bush by here if you've lost further towers. Then a good ward to have should be on this corner by here, which I do use sometimes, because you can see sort of all around here. If you've lost that tower, you can just keep the track of the enemy locations, but they're generally all the wards that you want to use for the jungle.
As always, thanks for watching. I really hope this video helps people out and raises awareness around the need to actually ward. If there is any feedback, then go ahead and leave a comment on YouTube, or head over to www.efrags.net and you can go on the forums and leave a thread for me to respond to. Thanks for watching, catch you next time where I discuss helpful tips on last hitting. This is Cwtch signing off.